Mr. TJ has a tournament this weekend, and I wanted to chat a bit about tactics and basically the how-to wins versus some stuff. This is a tough tournament, bro. There's some boss mode lists and people here, bro. What are you thinking?
I'm thinking we're gonna need to get, gonna need to get your head ready,
I'm juiced. I like your list against a lot of these things. It depends on the terrain for a lot of these things. I want to start with real quick what you thought versus the other chaos that's here.
Right. Okay. Sure. So the list.
Yeah, Aiden. I mean, you got two lists that are very different from each other. Like the first things that I saw that I know, the people that I just know. You've got Ian Barclays. He's playing the Mortarian's Anvil, Plague Company.
Yep.
Plague
now, for people who don't know, Aiden is a prominent chaos figure in the community. He is a guy who generally likes to go to LVO. He's someone who cares about his ranking. So he doesn't just play the flavor of the month. He's a chaos guy.
Oh, 100%.
So he is definitely going to be, what he is playing is something that he believes is packing the heat. So it's an interesting build. Heavy on the Marines. Triple Blight Spawn, which is super interesting.
He's got a baby unit of Raptors, too, and this Word Bearers. I mean, he basically just has it for warp time, I'm assuming. Yeah. Yep, I hadn't even looked at his spell. I'm just assuming warp time.
Defx and warp time.
Yep. So
you're actually incorrect. There is no warp time in that list.
Is too. I am in BCP. Sorcerer, Demonic Whispers, Bold Histel, Death X, Force Sword, Jump Pack.
Yeah.
The Malefic Tome for warp time.
Yes. 3 spell. I'm assuming that's one of the relics that lets you cast or know 3 spells, because that's 3 spells right there, by the way.
Yeah.
So either that list is illegal or which is new shit, right? Like a lot of people don't, it's one of those weird. A lot of people aren't used to having to put all your spells on the book, and those are the on your sheet, and those are the spells.
Now, this list for me was a little bit a question mark for you, just because that's why I want to bring it up. How do you feel against the Nurgle because of the fact that they do get a 5-up against your smites, your mortal woundage?
They're all 1 wound though. That's the main issue, right? The main issue is
I keep forgetting that. I'm not gonna lie. That's
20 more wounds is still 20 wounds. Like, even with your feel no pain, you save 6, you're still losing 14. 14 is, and by the way, the Nurglings are going to be up front. Turn 1, you get no feel no pains.
Yeah.
Turn 1, you just lose all the Nurglings if you deploy them on the table because they don't get their feel no pain.
Yeah, and he only has
2. It's unfortunate that we have to explain this all the time, but for everyone who doesn't know, you don't. Do not, I cannot say that any other way, you do not get your feel no pain against mortal wounds for the 50th millionth time. I get talked about this every time I do a clinic, or every time someone finds Nurglings for the first time, or they fight against them. You don't get them. So try convincing a judge that you can, and I would love to go to that event too.
I should probably actually say what I'm doing in the right way. Talking with TJ.
So let's see. So we've got Word Bears are first. Let's see this relic here that apparently Book of the Reveler. You can read the book. Random. Nope, that's 2 boons.
Malefic Tome.
Oh, there it is. Yep. Knows 1 additional power chosen. It's really it makes them +1 to cast, +1 to the total, which actually is worse for Word Bearers. You don't want to be plus for your casts
because you got to flip flop them.
You want to fail these spells. You want to fail at least one of these spells.
I think, you know,
I don't have a cool background. You have a cool background. I have shit.
I have a giant green screen behind me, courtesy
Okay,
of
well,
Brittany.
you win.
We've got the
Yeah,
question:
so
is this really true? Because I know lots of people who do the feel no pain rolls against mortal wounds. Can we explain that in more detail? Why they don't?
sure. So I have a chaos book right in front of me somewhere.
I love that you went right. No.
Um, hold on one second. Let me go grab this book.
All of the reasons, all of the time. I should probably switch to Fate Weaver.
All right, so let's just get into it. This will pretty much solve all of it, but we'll just talk about this real quick, and then I guess we'll have to talk about what a mortal wound says for its wording. All right, so this is Chaos Demon book. This is what a Nurgling says. Because of their the rule that they have is squishable. Because of their diminutive size, Nurglings only receive the benefits of disgusting resilience ability against attacks with a damage characteristic of 1. Now, for everyone who's following along, mortal wounds are 100% not a damage characteristic. It is a single point of damage. There is no characteristic to the weapon. It is also the same argument when people try to tell me that D3 weapons, D3 damage weapons, or even D6 damage, if my opponent rolls a 1, that means I get my feel no pain, right? No. That means single point of damage. So when you go to a weapon on whatever data slate you're looking at and you look at the weapons for that unit, if the weapon under the D category says 1, you get a save. You get a feel no pain. If it doesn't, you don't get a feel no pain. That's pretty much the simplest way I can describe it. But to go a little further along, we'll take out the rule book real quick. So,
because mortal wounds themselves, that's why you can't re-roll a mortal wound when you roll for
yeah,
mortal wounds, because they're actually individuals. It's not a damage roll.
Yeah, it's not a damage roll. You can't. I can't. I explained this to someone else earlier in the week, because they were talking to me about a spell. When they were like, "Oh, you do D3, you can re-roll it." I'm like, "No, you can't. It's not a damage roll. There's no damage being done. Mortal wounds are single points of damage." Common terrain features, battlefield rolls, attachments.
I'm just setting people straight. We're doing rules stuff. This is all of the goodness right here.
Well, it's important that people understand because, like, this happens often. This is quite often that people ask me about this. Like, hey, man, I don't understand. What do you mean? I'm like, okay. So I explain, and they're like, well, doesn't that just mean I can get a, like, I don't know, man. That looks like I might be able to get a feel no pain. I'm like, no. You could not get a feel no pain from this. Like, I don't know how else to say it. So it's very weird that and it part of it is obviously Games Workshop a little bit. You know, they could definitely use better wording. They could say weapons that, you know, a weapon that has a characteristic of 1 or profile or whatever. Things like that would definitely make it a lot easier for people to understand. But you know, actually, you'll find this funny. In our chats earlier today, someone was trying to say that Wrath of Mars is for reading the rules. Rules is written, the raw. They were saying that once you use it once, it's a permanent buff to the unit that you use it on.
Why?
Yeah. Because it doesn't say that it doesn't work until the end of the turn, so that obviously means that
forever.
Yes, forever. Yes.
It seems better. It seems way better than normal.
Seems better. All right, so here we go. So, mortal wounds. Some attacks inflict mortal wounds. It's so powerful that no armor or force field can withstand their fury. Each mortal wound inflicts 1 point of damage. It's not a damage characteristic. It's a point of damage. They are always applied 1 at a time. Do not make a wound roll or saving throw against the mortal wound. Just allocate it as you would any other attack and inflict damage to a model in the target as described above. There you go. Unlike damage inflicted by normal attacks, SS damage from mortal wounds is not lost. That would be another indication, obviously, that it just goes, you don't get a feel no pain, because that's how it works. Yeah, so that's that. Each mortal wound inflicted on a unit causes one model in the unit to lose a wound. That's in the bullet point. So if you're reading that, each mortal wound inflicted on a unit causes one model in the unit to lose a wound. That's very cut and dry. That doesn't even say,
Anything
you
about
know,
attack, anything about it, anything.
damage characteristic, none of that. It literally just says you lose a wound in that unit. Now, what Feel No Pain says, a normal Feel No Pain, is that when this unit or model would lose a wound on a 5-up, that wound is not lost. That's what a Feel No Pain says. But Nurglings are written completely different, so that's why they don't get it. So anyway, so that's that. So if he's going to play the anti-Nurgle trick, the Nurgling trick against me, he's going to be sorely in for a bad time because, well, yeah, they're just going to die turn one.
I think that's a bad matchup for him. I think that's a big matchup for you. My other chaos question was for you, just matchup wise, before we kind of get into me saying my 2 cents about all these Imperium matchups of what could be happen. Austin's list, can he put enough big bang with the obliterators right away? Because he's going to obviously he's slamming down the untargetable obliterators. He's going to.
I don't even think he's doing that. I don't even think he's going to do that. There's no point. I have no shooting. Like, you're not going to spend the CP. You're just going to leave money.
Yeah, he's going to. Yeah, I mean, he's just going to try to double shoot them. They're not Iron Warriors though. He puts a lot of Iron Warriors up here.
Well, they lost their detachment.
Yeah, so that's weird. Let's say they usually are just a little scarier.
They're also not Black Legion, which means he won't get to reroll everything as well, which is another.
I was actually wondering about that because he'll just be rolling these just straight up.
Well, I wouldn't say straight up.
He's going to plus one of them.
Sorry. So he's got a prayer to make one of them plus one. That's right. The one he's going to leave on the table. And then he has prescience to make another one plus one.
Right. That's
what then he has the priest's power the master possession to reroll ones to hit and to ones to wound. So I mean, he's basically hitting on twos, rerolling ones.
I did forget the wounds of ones and that. So.
And then he'll probably spend the CP to not the CP, probably. He'll probably use the other spell that the master possession has to basically reroll all of the dice. So reroll all the whatever the AP is, whatever the wounds is, whatever the damage is. Strength, AP, damage. It's an interesting matchup. I don't think he puts them on the table on turn one because his list doesn't have enough pressure. If I were to just double jump Magnus across the table, and let's just say he loses the roll, he leaves both the obliterators on the table. I don't think he has enough board presence to basically take out Magnus by himself. If he were to lose the obliterators, right. Even if he lost one unit,
it's going to be tough on that though, because I feel that you pick up. He's got a lot of chaff units trying to take objectives and engage. He's got 3 units of bikes. He's got a big unit of Terminators, but they don't have special weapons. They have chain fists and chain axes.
Right. So they have bolters. He's got a lot of anti-chaff clearing. He's putting the heavy lifting on the obliterators. Right. Now, his obliterators are probably the best obliterators that you could get at the current time. Like I said, you'll be hitting on 2s and you'll be re-rolling 1s, and you'll be wounding on 2s and re-rolling 1s. All that sounds great in theory, but what happens if he rolls a 1 on damage followed by a 1 with the re-roll? Well, they're not really going to do too much like that, and that is a big problem. I think he's going to rely mostly on clearing my screens quickly if we were to play, and I think he's going to rely on using the Black Legion strat to basically tie up things. I think he's going to leave both units off the table, and I think he's going to deep strike both of them in. And he at least leaves 1 unit off the table. 1 unit's going to start on the table. 1 unit will start off the table. If I go first against 1 unit, if he has a wall, I won't be able to shoot them. But whatever's in front is going to just die on turn 1. So, and with my spells, now that kind of locked down what I think is the proper cult, I'll be able to basically shut down 2 out of the 3 bikes from moving at all. They almost do nothing. So that would be cool. to see that in a game. Yeah, so
I'm intrigued by this matchup. I think that I
it would
think
be tough. I
it'll
mean,
be tough, but
literally.
you have so much psychic though. It's just he has so many small units with one wound guys. That's my only issue. Is I think that first turn will be very big in this particular match. I actually think that you have a huge advantage if you go first. I think the game's can be fine either way, going first or second. But I actually think if you go first, it feels to me on paper when I'm trying to play this in my mind that you can put too much damage for him to continue to play the mission very effectively, because you can just pick up all the chaff.
You can kind of see where he's going with secondaries too, right? Like he's going to take engage. He's probably going to take banners, and he'll probably take. I mean, I have a lot of assassinate characters. He could go after that if he really wanted to, but I mean, let's just say he kills Magnus on the third turn. If he kills Magnus on the third turn, you're not going to get through also all the pink horrors and the bird and get to the characters behind it.
Well, I mean, I'm not going to lie. Unless you can get an easy obliterator on this, I think that you could just pick up all the bikes and all the Marines. I mean, after that, I don't know if
I would just cast targeting spells into the obliterators every turn.
Yeah. You know, I'm just saying, like, all the rest of the stuff, like you have so much things that could just pick up everything else, and if you don't have everything else, you're not going to score, though. You know what I mean? Even if you get tabled the rest of the game, I don't even think it makes a lot of difference. What's up, KR? Oh, he put out the walrus spread. Love it. It's my favorite.
So I will say that I did end up taking the -1 damage warlord trait for the Lord of Change. So Magnus is not my warlord. So
that is so nasty too. No, I just the damage on that. I thought this match was going to be a little bit tougher in my mind, and then I looked at it a little bit more.
I mean, if the obliterators pop off, it's a completely different story. I mean, if they pop Magnus on turn 1, well, now we're obviously in a completely different ball game there. But I mean, if he does what normal I've seen obliterators do, is basically, 18 shots, hit wound 12 times, and then Magnus saves 9 out of 12 of them. Next turn he heals 6 wounds. That wasn't good. Or next turn he heals 5 wounds. Feel Knows Pain's one of the original ones, takes 8 wounds, heals 5. He takes 3 wounds. That's bad. Because now the obliterators are 24 inches away from you. So knowing that the obliterators are now in range of every one of your spells, you're just going to pick up 2 of them. And then once they're down to 1 or 2 in a squad, they're not really effective. I mean, 6 shots is a big deal. That's a really main issue with obliterators as well, is once you lose 1, the combat effectiveness is vastly decreased on that unit.
Oh, huge. So before we get into
so that's that matchup.
Yeah,
there is also one other chaos matchup. There's 2 more chaos lists.
2 more chaos.
Which is really interesting that there is really just a low spectrum of chaos at this event. But,
well, you got weirdly this area has a huge Imperium deal. It's kind of weird where we are. I think it's all over the place for Midwest right now. I just see a lot of everything. It's just just a lot of different things. They're very big on Imperium. There's a lot of Imperium here, and then I want to talk about the Eldari matchups next.
Sure.
Because
so
are very similar.
The last one that we have, I was looking at it yesterday. Where did it go? I don't even see it anymore. But it was Magnus, 2 keepers. I just can't see it in here anymore.
It's Kellen. Go to K's. He's got the Nurglings. He's a straight up Blatler Terminator list with some affinity.
There was someone else who was playing. He might have dropped because it looks like we're down a person. But there was someone who was strictly running Magnus, 2 keepers the day before, or like earlier in the week. So, but anyway, this other list there are actually 2. Anthony Fitzgerald is running Chaos as well. He's running straight Death Guard, and then this other list is also running straight Death Guard. So, entropy cannons. This guy's running entropy cannons, which is basically, other than the haulers, that's basically all his damage. So entropy cannons are the scariest. Thing I've ever seen on, as far as people believing that they are a useful unit on the table. Probably like the single worst gun that you can have. It's like a hunter killer missile, honestly, because like the vehicle hits on a 4. The best you could do is let it re-roll. So you're gonna hit maybe once, and then it's like whatever. It doesn't matter what the strength is. I think it's strength 9 or strength 10. Doesn't matter. It's at least strength 9. It wounds most things on 3s and a lot of things on 2s. It's neg 4. That sounds really great, and then your opponent just rolls his invul, and then because the thing you're shooting at has an invul, it never doesn't have an invul, right? Like Magnus, Terminators, another Chaos, Mortarian, Keeper of Secrets, a Knight. Like, it's gonna have an invul, and then it's just gonna make its invul save, and that's gonna make you feel like shit. It's a 160-point model that literally just stands there and looks pretty.
It looks pretty. And it looks pretty. Let's talk about Eldari, man. I want to rock these guys.
All right. Yep.
I'm more concerned about the Eldari than I am the Imperium, but I want to talk about the Imperium because I play Imperium, but I also know all the Chaos stuff. Because I'm such a 40k whore and I'm willing to play any army at a moment's notice. I do have the advantage of...
Because Eldari actually are like, for this list, Harlequins especially, it's like one of my best matchups.
That's the funny thing is I think it's a strong army that actually is very bad for them. Almost all the lists are very... I mean, there's differences in the list, but most of them are 3-ish troops, a couple units of spears, because they're all double detachment. All of them are. Yep. There's one that's Drukari, but they're all... they're basically spears. I think the champ, Kurt's got a unit of Hornets also thrown in, which I actually kind of like.
A little better.
Yeah, for that. But they're mostly, spears players, the standard Troopmaster and Shadowseer.
And Haywire bikes.
And Haywire bikes, yes. So they've got lots of speed. They can play the mission well, but they don't have a whole lot to stop you from cleaving into them, actually. The mortal wounds is going to be a big deal, but it's going to be semi-tough to just dig you out of objectives on this one, tell you the truth.
Yeah, I mean, my local here, one of my buddies, he plays Harlequins, and like we played this list when I was testing it, and he was like, this is really bad for me. Like, I can't kill Magnus unless I get into Magnus, and the only way I get into Magnus is if I kill all the pink horrors, and the only way I kill all the pink horrors is by sending a unit in of 10 troops.
Yeah, you
fully
got players buffed out. You gotta basically pop. You can pop every CP you have though. You can do a 7 CP, plus damage, plus wound, or plus to wound. Yeah. You're gonna get rerolls. We are gonna roll wounds on a thing, but you're gonna do strength. Damage, plus 1 to wound, rerolling all wounds, and you can hit and leave obviously, because you can do Harlequin shenanigans.
I don't even know that I would. That's probably the only one I wouldn't do because like. Falling back doesn't really matter because Magnus moves 16. So wherever you are, he's getting you.
It's just it's one of those things with a bite. You could like hit. I would just say at the end, I might hit with all the players, and I might hit with the bikes. Like if I was going to try to take out your pinks, I would take a big unit of players, and I would hit the bikes on the side, and I would leave with the bikes after I was done.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So that I could be somewhere else.
That is just like now you're standing in front of Magnus and a bird, and like. Death Hex is definitely a thing. And
it's just I don't even care if you have Death Hex. They'll just die. I mean, they're T3 guys. They've done once they do their damage, especially in this match. I think that I just assume that they're dead. Anything that I'm pushing into you, I've already checked off that they're dead. The following turn, I'm just trying to hold you to basically try to stop some of the movement, try to get, some of your damage away, trying to take some of the objectives. Because the first thing that I'm going to do in this match for against you is I'm going to take spears into, tell you the truth, I'm going to take spears into Nurglies because I need to get them the hell out of there. So I'm going to so I have to basically throw lances. Obviously, I'm going to catapult a little, a couple away, and then I'm going to charge in with because it's all 2 damage. So I'm going to smash into them and try to pick up the Nurglings on that. So unfortunately, that means that the spears are going to disintegrate the turn after, depending on obviously terrain where they happen to be, but most likely.
And I think it's interesting to note that Connor has if those spears don't do work in this particular matchup, I don't know what kills the rest of my list because there's not one. There is one fusion pistol.
Yeah, well, he's got his list is the largest units of spears. I actually prefer I prefer 3/5s myself. That's what I run.
He has two 6s, which sound great, but if that's going to be all the heavy lifting for killing big boys, I'll just throw Magnus across the. I'll just send Magnus.
What is the math on that? You're -1 to hit, so they're hitting on 4s.
They're hitting on 4s.
Is he frozen stars on the players though?
The players are.
Yeah, he's frozen stars. So basically, you're looking at like 50 attacks if he's got a big. How big is the unit? It's not full.
It's not that big.
He's got one that's 9.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. No, he's got a 9-man.
He has. That's only he needs. Only needs more. I mean, at least we'll just round it to it. We'll say it's a 10-man, so it's just easier.
Sure, so one 10-man is the biggest threat, though. But he is no
25.
Transports at least, but I pop transports I breathe.
I've never been a fan of the boats. I just like more bodies. You just have more bodies and more attacks. If you roll more dice, more things happen. In my opinion, I'm just thinking of what Evian takes. You hit half, so 25. I wound half more because I'm gonna. No, it's still half because I got even a +1 to wound. I'm still wounding on 5s originally, so 4s. 12.5. You save 66% of that. Oh, that's nothing. Even if I'll pop +1 to damage, but you still don't kill him.
No, you might deal him 10 wounds. I mean, if it's D3 +1, right? Your average roll is 3 damage a pop. So if I fail 4 of them, he should take 12 damage. But you're probably going to reroll one of the ones he fails. So he probably only takes 9 damage. 9 damage, he's not even bracketed yet. Or he just gets bracketed.
Yeah. No, if you're doing this, you need to kill him.
Well, 1 unit, you'd have to send something else into him. But again, at that point, I know what's going to happen. If that's the only unit I know it's coming, I know what's due.
Well, that's the only real thing he has. I would go more with, if we're going to talk about things, I actually think Kurt's list is better against Ben's than that is. I think he has at least more damage potential. You know what I mean? He has.
It's interesting they're right next to each other. So he's playing Frozen Stars as well.
He has multiple big units that have.
Yeah, I see that. Yeah, he definitely has a lot more stuff in there.
He's got three big troops. And he's got a bunch of small ones, to take objectives and do everything else. And then he's got that unit of Hornets to pump out some shots and double spears.
Yep.
So I actually think that this list is going to has way more options to hurt you than that list has. I think this is significantly a better matchup. I actually like Kurt's list quite a lot. I chose this out of the options he gave me. But this list could actually give you some fright just because of the volume of attacks with each of the troops.
Yeah, I would have to send, and that's the thing. With the other matchup, it was well, if I kill the big 10-man, that's the game, right? I mean, you kill the 10-man, you kill the Shining Spears, and that's the only answer he has. Then Magnus and the Bird just run around and do whatever they want. You could even send the Demon Prince out at that point.
Yeah. I mean, against this, you have to almost assume that the Shining Spears are already dead because he has to kill the. Why can I not talk? He's got to kill the Nurglings.
There is something to note in both of these, in this list over the last list, is that this list has literally no smite protection. Where the last list, at least what you could have done is throw both the transports in the front. and say, I'm going to give you these 2 wounds, these 2, whatever, two unit wound pools, which you can then smite off the table. However, I'll buy myself maybe half of.
I'm not going to lie. This is, I think, what I'm going to do. What I would do against you is I would take the Shining Spears and I would kind of sacrifice them because I want the Nurglings gone. And I would take 2 spears into 2 Nurglings, and then I would actually use them as my smite protection.
I think you have to. I don't think you have a choice.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Because I'm going to move everything up besides the small troops. Small troops are going to take
These are all if I went second, by the way. I mean, obviously, going first is.
Yeah, I'm just doing my options. The person's options are on this. Small troops are going to take objectives. They're going to raise banners. They're going to do whatever's, and then the everything else. He does have some psychics to throw back at you. You have like a billion denies because he's actually running the Evrain for extra mortal wound damage against other people.
Man, I'd love to get Spell Thief on that matchup. That would just be sexy.
Oh my god, that would be horrific. That would be for him. But what do you? So he goes first. He murders the Nurglings, raises banners on 2.
Well, I wouldn't say he murders the Nurgling. I'd say he kills 2 units. There's still 3 more left.
No, I'm saying he kills the units that he goes into. Sorry, you know what I'm saying.
Oh, okay, yeah. So he kills 2 units. They're dead. He gets them. They're dead. So he kills them. He stands on the objective, and then I spend my turn killing those guys. Then at the top of his turn, he grabbed the other objective from me, so he'll score his should score his 10. Because we'll probably hold the same number because I'll probably send something, one of the units of Nurglings that was behind that objective near where his Shining Spears are now grabbing that objective. So we should split on that, and then his goal is basically just to hold out for as long as possible, just try to deny me primary points. I'm not he tries to bully me, I think, in the middle of the table with a big unit, a big block of Harleys. And the rest of the Harleys just kind of run protection on that unit, grab the objectives, but be further up to kind of deny smites. And then that's how you play that list. I think secondary-wise, he's got to be careful what secondaries he picks because a lot of players pick Engage with Harleys, right? You're like, I have crazy movement. Engage is most definitely the wrong choice in this matchup. Engage will get you killed. Engage is going to lose most of your units to stupid stuff like having to get in a corner that they just get blown off the table.
I can take Scramblers pretty easy on this. I'm just debating what it takes.
Scramblers would be good. Banners would be good, depending on the mission, obviously. We're playing a 4 objective. Banners is terrible. But if we're going to play a 5 or 6 mission objective, yeah, definitely banners, scramblers, and then he can't take a boar, so maybe the mission one.
It depends on the mission one. You get an easy one like fucking,
except for losses, maybe
vital info, any of those things where you can just score like your objective in the back or whatever. He's got a lot of attacks on this, so he's got an opportunity to kill obviously anything. Frozen Stars just have a piss ton of attacks to throw at you. He does only have the 1 Troop Master instead of 2. He does have the Fang, but you don't have infantry for shit. Obviously, the horrors and whatnot, but you don't really care about doing multiple damage to them.
No.
But
it'll be an interesting matchup. I mean, I'm not saying that I would win that matchup. It seems Eldar in general, especially a Harlequin main army, seems like it is a strong matchup for me. And let's not forget, pink horrors. Oh, you got a 10-man unit of Harleys? I will wipe them off the table with a 30-man squad of horrors shooting at them. They just die.
Oh yeah, they're T3 still. they're T3.
I'm trying 4 plus 1 to wound. I'm wounding you on 2s,
and they fail half the saves.
Even with the -1, I'm winning you on 3s again. Like it's not. That's like 30 plus saves. Even with a 4-up invul, you just lost 15 of them.
Yeah,
like
I thought about this match kind of a lot with you, and I actually was originally thinking to myself that it would be much tougher than it was, and that's why I wanted to do Imperium last because I actually think the Imperium players actually play better into you than the Harlequins play, which is usually the other way around. Like for instance, if you were playing your Death Guard, I actually think the Harleys would be easier than the Imperium would. The other way around. Sorry, Harleys would be harder than the Imperium, but I think that the Harleys, with this list, the Harleys are actually easier because typically I would just say, play everywhere on the board,
Yep.
and just stay
And
away
I
from.
can't. I'm slow, and I can't get the stuff, so I'm going to lose on primary because you can just kind of you kill nerdlings pretty quick with troops, and I can't really kill stuff.
Right. So man, I'm just debating on this because man, you take so many losses, you have so many smites, and it's just difficult to hurt you because of that stupid unit of pink horse. So I'm just debating on whether he slams. I've been literally debating on whether if he slams all of the fucking like 2 units just smash into your pink horse and he has to just ignore Magnus. That seems like a horrible idea, but it seems better than just rolling the dice and killing Magnus.
Well, there's also the spells to note too. Like I can Doombolt, and then what's the name of that other spell? Just so I can start.
Well, Doombolt, everybody, the problem with Doombolt is he halves the movement. Half the movement, can't advance, and that really shuts down one of these units because they basically crawl instead of moving super fast and advancing and charging.
But now we have another spell because I took two because I knew this might be an issue. So I took another spell that does the same thing. What is the name of this spell? That's Grey Knights. Okay, Thousand Suns. Here we go. It is called Warp Reality. So it halves their movement, subtract 1 from their advance rolls and their charge rolls as well.
I mean, if they can't get to, he needs to get to you in mass and now kind of thing, because you need to be, you can't let your pink cores just hang out if you're a Harlequin player. It's just not an option.
Yeah. So I mean, you just kind of shut down 2 units and leave them alone.
Yeah, I'm just. This seems like.
Oh, Gil. Is Gil not playing now?
What's that?
Maybe Gil's playing Ohio. Yeah, Gil's playing Ohio.
Yeah,
okay. Anyway, I'm just losing my fucking mind. I really thought there was someone here who's running.
The big stuff.
Yeah.
So I think that, to tell you the truth, as long as he's called a mutation, or you are called a mutation, right?
Yeah, that is the cult of mutation
spell. I was just gonna say. Yeah, he's cult of mutation on that.
The other one doesn't matter, right? Like the Cult of Magic, it's 1 extra D3, it wounds everybody around you. But like being able to slow down 2 units a turn is so crucial for so many matchups. The White Scars, the Black Legion matchup, the Admech with the dogs. Like you just want to slow, or the Electro Priest. Like you just want to shut stuff down.
Now the list that I'm actually, a couple of these that I don't know if you know everything that they do. Have you played against Black Templars? Because you do have a Black Templar player in here.
Yeah, they have deny strats.
They have deny strats. They have. I want to make sure every watcher has just a straight up 4-up chance. I didn't see if he had any though. He does not. That's too bad for him. The only things you got to watch out for are Devout Push. Devout Push is a big deal because of the fact that you just get 6-inch consolidate. You can consolidate into somebody instead of charging them and just get in. So he can just grab something. He is running a piss ton of Terminators and whatnot. He has all the Terminators all the time.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw that list. It's quite impressive. It's quite impressive to see that
the
much.
The only thing is he doesn't have watchers. I actually didn't. As I was about to do that, or sorry, let's think. Watch this is Archangels. What the hell am I talking about? Black Templars. But he's got the strat to shut something down. But he's got a ton of termies. He's going to push. I mean, this is an all-in kind of a salty army. He is semi MSU, even though he's got so much termination action. Do you feel with this, because he's got a lot of high strength attacks, high damage attacks? Do you feel that you're going to play cagier with this one, mid board, or just say screw it and just I can probably take these guys off? You got a lot of 3 wound people on here. There is a lot of wounds here.
I mean, there's a lot of wounds there. I mean, obviously, like I'm not gonna just send Magnus in turn 1 and be like, "Yep, we win."
YOLO.
We'll probably do a turn 3 or something like that when I've cleared enough. Again, I think we were talking about this the other day, but like if my list puts out about 20 mortal wounds a turn, by turn 2, you've taken 40 mortal wounds. I've peeled a lot of that stuff back. So I can kind of go, okay, I think I can get to a good target this turn. I can take out another key unit, and I'm going to do it. And I'm going to send it in, and that's going to be that. Plus, you got the Demon Prince. Demon Prince is, 8 attacks on the charge as well. So I mean, he's gonna do some stuff. He's gonna mess some people up as well. Plus,
Now, how do you feel if he just gets straight YOLO on these Terminators? Uses the teleport homers, literally picks people up, slams them in, runs up with the the +2, and just tries to get into multiple assaults before right away kind of thing.
I mean, I only have one unit you can really charge, right? I mean, like the Nurglings, if you want to charge Nurglings on turn 1.
Yeah, they're going to be in the way on that. I mean, he's going to you're actually looking for he's going to have to go turn 2, because even if he pushes the Terminators into, which he will, he'll push Termies and everybody else into Nurglings to get you off those original objectives. Do you feel like they have enough attacks basically to take out a decent amount of your stuff? There is.
I don't know that they kill a whole pink horror squad is the problem. I mean, that's a lot of wounds.
You're gonna shield everybody with the horrors, so people talking about the tactics on it. So I'm
going to put Magnus and the bird in a bubble. So here's how it's going to work. Basically, I'm going to move up the table with them on turn 1. Move advance, wherever they land is wherever they land. I'm going to create 2 boxes. I'll probably bring, which is what I normally do, I'll bring a fake empty base for Magnus, and I'll bring an empty base for the bird, and I will then position all my pink horrors and all my characters into that bubble. And then I'm going to move Magnus, obviously, much further out. He's going to go and cast spells, and then someone's going to yo-yo him back into the bubble, and then he's going to come back into the bubble. That's how turn 1's going to go, maybe even turn 2, and then, even if he makes the charge in turn 2, that just means that if he kills, let's just say 90% of the pink horrors and they fill morale and everybody dies, that means he's standing in front of me on my turn 2. I can either, or the end of his turn 2, which means on my turn 3, I can kill with reckless abandonment whatever I want to kill. So that would be a big turn. I think I have enough to. I think I have enough to break it, but it is, again, you never know. It is a lot of Terminators. There are a lot of wounds. But Magnus does have a damage 3 weapon.
Yeah, no, I don't think it's the end of the world or anything, but I actually think that this game is literally determined by turn 2, because for him to win the game, I think that he actually has to play pretty YOLO, because he doesn't have the shooting to do anything to you. He's got a little bit of Eradicators, but I mean, mostly this is a punch army. But I think that he has to get in with everything now against you. So that's why I was wondering if you were going to play a little bit more passive, because I think that he has to come.
Yeah, I think this list is a reactionary list just by A, the way I play, and B, the way that a lot of my matchups are going to go. Like, you don't just YOLO Magnus into a unit, even when we get to my worst matchup, which is probably Juice.
I'm not going to lie, it's right here. Literally, I'm waiting for it after we talk about this, because Admech terrify me.
Admech's probably my worst matchup. I don't really understand what they were doing when they wrote Admech. Not the original Admech book, but definitely the Psychic Awakening book.
I mean, they did make them unbelievably expensive, so not that many people have them. How about that? So
sure.
I go over and over again that I think Admech and Sisters are the 2 best armies in the game right now. This army, especially depending on let's go over the things that are just bad for you.
Yeah.
Well, for anybody, to tell you the truth, especially if you play in one of the, I call them the T formation. Basically the ones that have quadrant ruins and not the middle blocker. So if it's got the especially good lines of fire, Cataphra Destroyers are disgusting.
Yep.
They do damage. They have range, and they're troops. They have 3 wounds, and they're T5.
Yep. So they're not. They get D6 against vehicles, which is terrifying. Thankfully, I have no vehicles, but that doesn't make me feel much better.
Oh, that is true. Juice is just painting him on that. He hasn't played a ton with him. However, the Raiders are super annoying. Again, 3 wounds. They can obviously fall back from a charge.
Well, don't worry, KR. That's not the issue with the list. Like just having one unit of those guys is not what people are going to have to be worried about. It's the things that he has reps with that you're going to need to be worried about, which is the chicken walkers.
I don't know. Are the tables there the Novels, TJ? I don't know.
Said they're going to be Nova Ls.
That's a big difference.
However, they said that they turn them inside out, which I don't understand what that means exactly until I get there. What I'm assuming
this and this then?
Instead of you having both L's like this, where they're facing each other, it's going to be they'll face each other.
So they're making a box in the middle then.
Correct. That's what I was told. Death Coliseum.
You can't push up as much on that. I guess that makes it so it's less aggressive because typically at Nova L's, I just put like my army inside the first L. You know what I mean? Half the time.
Well, you should have one L on your side where your army should be able to get behind.
You can get behind it. No, I'm saying if you have it this way. Sorry, what am I? Whatever, like that.
Yes, I understand what you're saying. Yeah, then you could just kind of run into it on turn 1.
Exactly. If it's forced this, I have to stay a little bit farther back because the box is in the middle. You know what I mean?
I'm very interested to see how heavy this terrain is because if literally it's just a ruin in every corner, 2 Nova L's, and then like 2 shrubberies in the middle of the map, it's going to be a rough weekend for lots of stuff. Like,
I mean, well, what's scary right now? I'm just looking through this list, man. I mean, just the Ballistari are kind of a nightmare because they can really flip this game over for you. Unfortunately, he has all las cannons on him. Yeah, he's gonna buff them. You know what I mean? They have a chance to just pick any of your big things up. It's a full unit of literally las cannons.
It's 8 las cannons that hit on 2s because they'll activate the strat, so they'll hit on 2s no matter what. And then they wound on 2s because of I can't remember what this is that makes him +1 to wounds.
Yeah, you just get the +1 to wound on the thing. They've got the strat. They basically you're going to hit on 2s, wound on 2s.
It's a strat. That's what it is. Okay. And they get extra shots on 6s.
So that's scary. Clearly,
that's terrifying. Yes.
And this is the list that I was really worried about as far as that. He's also got 2 drills. Luckily, they don't have the new rules. They're not using the new rules for it. So you're not getting 5 melta shots. You're getting what, D3 shots?
Yes, but they're 12 inches, so it's not like super terrifying.
Yeah. So I mean, the drills themselves are still demon princes. You know what I mean? So they're going to be
they'll definitely mess people up. They will be the first casualties of war, I'm sure. Juice will put them up front. It's just he'll get the pregame move. They'll move. The walkers won't move. They don't need to move.
Yeah, so the walkers don't need to move. They've got 36 is the new, even if it wasn't last cannon. 36 is the new 48. Anyways, 48 is the new.
So I have a game plan against this particular list, but I'm not sure what that's going to look like. So
the priests are also not something that the pink horrors want to hang out with. You
know no, they don't. But
So what do you? In my mind, I felt that the chickens are a must kill. I think that's like true. That is the thing that has. I mean, obviously, the disintegrators are an annoyance the entire game. They're going to be something that you're just going to deal with though, because they're going to be super far back and they're just going to rain down.
Yeah.
Oh god.
The chicken walkers have to die.
If chicken walkers don't die, I think that the game's garbage for you. He'll eventually you'll eventually fail too many invulns.
Well, it's gonna. So if I go first, we're okay. We'll set up. He'll do his pregame move. No big deal. We'll set up and we'll do some smites. We'll do a light turn, and that'll be that. If he goes first, we hide our entire army and we make him go first, and then he just doesn't get to shoot anything because.
Hold on, let me have what the pajama pants is calling to give us some things. You could have just texted into the messages.
That probably would have worked too. Is he going to tell me how the terrain looks? He's going to tell me how the terrain looks.
Yeah. Well, I'm on Twitch. Well, we're gonna keep answering questions then. Let me call you after. You got it. He just wanted to tell me that half of my stream apparently got exploded because I didn't even remember that I was using Restream, so I was on YouTube also. But apparently YouTube is now just completely crushed. So I didn't know I was there, so it was a good thing. But I thought he was going to give me some info. He usually comes in to talk trash about my tactics.
I was ready for the street magic.
Yeah, no, but I was actually going to patch him in on the thing, but
I think I think we put the chicken behind a wall because he's under 18 wounds. He just gets to hide, and we just hide the pink horrors, and then I try to hide all the nerdlings, and then that's the end of the turn.
Now, in this match, is Magnus going in reserve?
That is the $1,100,000,000 question.
I just think he has to about to, man, because I'm not going to lie. If I'm playing this list against you, I'm going to pick Magnus up on turn 1 if I could turn 1.
Of course. There is the question of, do you think you can win the game without him on the table for 2 turns? Do you think you win if you don't get risky? Is the question.
Well, let's go through damage for damage. That's kind of what I want to do because I think this is like by far the hardest matchup for your army. That's going to be.
I think he dies if you go first. I don't even think we need to do that math. He's dead.
Yeah, he's just dead. He's just dead on the thing.
We don't need to do the math because even if he takes 14 wounds from the las cannons, then the 2 boats pick him up and he dies. So he dies on turn 1 no matter what.
Right. So I think you almost have to put him in, but you can high roll, but then you get 1 turn. I feel that if he's not on the table and you bring him in on turn 2, you can kill can you kill enough of the chickens without Magnus or anybody out to make a difference?
Nope.
So you basically
I have no damage output at that range because bolt of change is 18. The bird would have to move basically into the priest to try to do that. Now, he's not particularly scared of the priest. Like, that's not a terrible thing.
But I think I'm just running past him because I'm so confident that the chickens are going to pick up Magnus that I literally would never bother. I would put the priests on everything else.
Well, yeah, he'll send the priests into the nerdlings because he wants to pick those guys up as quickly as possible. I need to, the question is, can Magnus should survive a round on the table. If he comes in on turn 2, he should survive. But then he needs to survive the whole turn, and then the next turn he can jump and go kill those chicken walkers on his own.
It feels hard to survive a turn though.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's definitely going to be rough. There's a couple things we can do. We can make to work. We can try to make him toughness 8. We can give him 3-up invul. We can give him -1 to hit. We can try to lane out the destroyers so that they're not in a line of fire. Try to pull far enough back we can just nuke a squad maybe and force those guys to not be able to fire. So the only thing you're taking damage from is the boats and the walkers. And then you got to obviously make sure you don't get charged by a unit of priests. So if you can do those 3 things, it's really going to come down to what do the walkers do.
Yeah, I mean, that's a huge, huge deal because if I don't need to worry about... Basically, if you're playing Magnus down, which I feel that is a very big problem with
that's a game loss. That's a game loss. We can't play without Magnus. Not in that matchup. There's too much high damage, high vehicles there that he would just... he definitely...
Now, even if you try to get it, you're not going to be able to get him in turn 1, really, because I will set up shenanigan screen with the raiders in a bullshit formation, maximizing their footprint to try to keep you away.
I think that he can get him in 1 turn if he jumps because you smite whatever's in front of him or you cast targeted damage in front of him. And you can still, he still flies. He still flies over them. So
right, that's what I'm saying. Because I would make a weird. I would literally make this oddball circle twice with the raiders to maximize my footprint. I would literally take your base and just try to make it so that you can't go where you want to go.
Well, I mean, that's not the worst thing in the world. If I can't kill them in the turn, we just would make it so he's on the other side of the wall. So maybe he can't shoot me. Because these L's, I've been told, are large enough to block Magnus.
Oh, really? Wow, that
That's what
actually
I've been
changes a lot
told.
of things because I was assuming that you're just getting shot.
Apparently, they said that this is like Knight big, Magnus big.
Oh, really? I mean, that would
Yep.
actually change this game to much, much more playable because right now, it just feels that you're going to have to do a few Hail Mary type moves uh, to get in here. Because
Well, again, if he screens those chicken walkers, we just got to roll well for 2 turns, and we just kind of maybe take one of the last cannons out with targeted powers, and then we go and kill something. Our goal then would be to try to kill everything before Magnus dies. Go and kill a unit of priests because he picks a unit of priests up by himself, and then go and kill, maybe like one chicken walker with targeted spikes, and then you go and kill a unit of priests, and
so
then
also
the bird goes after priests as well. So you basically just make it so like, yep, you keep those things over there, and I'm going to try to kill everything else on the field that you have that can do anything.
So the question is, do you enough? I heard enough bitching about them. I love it. They're big L's. They didn't change. Heard enough bitching about them. Got it. Yeah, I mean that changes a lot though because if that you can actually hide Magnus, it means it's not an auto off the board for me. Because if I couldn't hide him at all, I would definitely keep him off the board for a turn. Just because I'd want to see if I could kill some shit.
Yeah, there's probably one matchup or at least one table deployment where I might not have to keep him off the table.
Right. Well, that changes the game quite a bit, though. If
If he's on the table for 5 full turns.
Well, even if he's on the table for 2.5, or what I mean, two turns. You know what I mean? I consider it a half if even if you roll decent, he has to put multiple units into you. You know what I mean? The problem is that there's the potential for a turn 1 disintegration of Magnus, and that's
Yeah, I know.
and that's terrible.
But again, the risk, like the thing is, like what you're thinking, like, do I win the game without him on the table? Do I need him on the table and hope I just roll hot tamales, or AKA I win the roll to go first?
I don't know because it also depends on the mental game on that because of the fact that if you know that Magnus is coming in, you still have to continually respect Magnus, which is going to change how you deploy, which is going to make your opponent have more thoughts. You know what I'm saying? Like I now have to continue to box out. I have to continue to make formations so that you can't hop over even with the chicken. You know what I mean? I have to. And then I know Magnus is going to be here, so I have to start trying to push him out on my edges. I don't know. The threat of him being on the board might be enough, but the mental game of like I have Magnus coming in is also.
Well, I don't know if it's the threat. Like he just puts out so much damage. If I went first, whatever's in the front is dying. So I at least pick up a unit before he even gets started, and then he can jump into one of those L's, and then that's.
Well, that's the thing. If you go first is a big thing. I'm actually trying to think of the second turn win. I mean, it seems much harder, obviously.
Yeah, just foam board, no windows.
It depends how high they are, KR. You know what I mean? It really depends on the thing.
KR, I was told that they hide Magnus and Mortarian. Now, I didn't build my list knowing this because this will be the list I'm running next weekend as well. But that's what I was told. I was told they were super fucking tall. Like, they hide a whole knight in there with some extra fucking change.
Yeah, I mean, if that's the case, you actually, tell you the truth, if that's the case, you going first is actually super good. Actually, not like it's an auto win. It's still a really tough matchup. But if you have
that's a tough matchup, right? So we're hoping either I don't play Juice and he loses to someone else, or because they were high, but a lot of complaints. So who knows now? Right? Okay. They said they were keeping them, KR. They said they were just going to make them. They were just going to change the way they were. Originally, someone was saying that they were going to make them like wall, like they were going to put like window. They were going to say there were windows in them, which would be stupid as hell. What would
Why
be
would
the
you
point
bother having them in the first place then? Then they just become light cover?
They become ruins, but I mean, like, you would just, like...
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
I would just stand behind them.
But you still wouldn't be in them, so it wouldn't make any difference. So you'd still be right. Whatever. Uh,
Anyway, yeah, so that's a big deal.
it's a tough. No, that's a huge deal though, because that's the difference between being able to have a full turn of Magnus and maybe more, because you don't get insta picked up. You also get 2 turns to start clearing stuff in the middle and get to the back. If you actually make the charge to the chickens, the game is significantly different. You know what I mean?
Yes.
What's up? We're talking about the Fredericksburg tournament, the YT1000 Terminator Liquid Metal Fall Brawl 40K GT.
Even with Windows, yeah, like KR said, even with Windows, it's still obscuring from behind. So I mean, like, if you're just going to be behind them, you'll just be obscuring from it. So whether you were inside of it or behind it, it would do the same thing, even if it had Windows. It would just mean that you couldn't be inside of the L and still be obscured, which from Juice's perspective, it's almost as bad because Juice has front-loaded shooting. It's not shooting that's super mobile. I mean, the chicken walkers are mobile, but they're not like, that's it. The rest of the list is very much like, I'm shooting you in a gun line type fashion. And the chicken walkers want to get nowhere near moving around the map. They want to stay way back and shoot at stuff.
I mean, the backpack of the army is going to be chicken walkers and 2 disintegrators. Sure, I mean, that's the back line.
So the real question is, can we make 3-ups, right? If we make 3-ups, the first time he comes in, I think we got it in the bag. I think if he can stay on the table and not get charged or shot at, and Juice shoots at him with the chicken walkers and goes 8 wounds, and I make 6 out of 8. I reroll one of them. I make the 7th. Okay, I guess he's gonna live.
2 turns of Magnus against this army is bad news bears. Like two effective turns, like actually doing stuff turns. You know what I mean? Like
well, you would send him in because you don't know if he can do that again, right? So like the first turn he would nuke a unit. So either he makes a charge, which would be even more devastating. He just wipes. Let's just say best case scenario, he picks up 3 units on the first turn. Right, the turn that he deep struck, he came in from a table edge, right? So he basically comes in, let's just say he comes in near a squad of priests, and he casts all the smite on the drill, kills the drill, and then he charges the priest and then kills the priest. Now he's just standing there. Juice shoots his entire army at him, or shoots the chickens, which is basically the army. And he lives. He lives substantially. He lives with like 10 plus wounds. Okay, well, on my turn, I'm going to heal him 2d3. And then I'm going to send him somewhere, and he's going to go and pick up probably the other drill and the other priest. Now, even if Magnus dies, what are you holding objectives with? What are you going to kill my pink orange with? Because now you're like, oh, shit. I was planning on Magnus being dead already. So now you have to shoot the chicken walkers again at Magnus and hope that this is the one. This is the time you kill him. Because if he lives at all, and you have to shoot, even if he lives with 1 wound, and you have to shoot another unit into him, that's 1 unit that you're not going to be shooting the pink R's into, which is big.
I think that you're very in this game if Magnus gets 2 turns to do stuff.
Yeah.
If you get 2 actual turns of, you know what I mean?
We're not going to know until it happens.
Yeah, it's just, it's such a swing, though, you know, for this, because you can get rid of so much stuff. It's going to be like a weird scrum. I'm actually debating what he goes after with the priest, whether you just try to make it into the horrors and do max damage there. It also matters to me how are you layering the Nurglings in this one, because I actually think the Nurglings being speed bumps and not letting priests into you right away is a big deal, because you really don't care what the priest save goes down to.
So the first thing is they have to kill a unit on an objective. So I think the first thing to note here is I probably just won't put Nurglings on objectives. They might just start behind objectives. So if he gets the first turn, yeah, do whatever you want. You want to kill a unit, you're not going to be able to get +1 when you're involved, because I'm not going to just throw a unit on top of an objective. I'll put them within striking distance of an objective, like a move run to an objective, but I'm not going to start them on objectives. So I think I do a caution speed bump. They basically sit at the halfway between the middle of the table and my deployment, and I kind of just screen them out and go, yep, I'm just going to go straight across and just kind of hang out, Try to give him no targets on turn 1. Try to give him no charges on turn 1. Just let him move his army up. And then if I do lose the roll to go first, he's like, shit. Do I just let him go first and just not do anything?
I can't see him doing it. It's so weird on that, though, because...
I mean, he'll fire the mortars, maybe pick up a unit of Nurglings, but, like, that's pretty much what his turn... I'd like to make that his turn. I mean, I think that's an easy ask for me. He doesn't have a lot... He doesn't have any units that interact with me, so I think I can easily make him do that. On turn 1, put the bird behind the wall, put the pink horrors behind the wall, and then you just... That's your turn.
If he says his turn, he says go on his turn, though, and just pushes the Vanguard up and, like, basically pops banners on 4 objectives. Do you run up after that?
Yeah, I would definitely. If he went first, just put Vanguards on buildings and then just grab stuff. Yeah, I would just I would send Nurglings to try to contest these objectives. I mean, they're 5-man, so I could at least shut down one of these. Let him score one of the other ones, depending on where the objectives are. I could probably even shut down 2, depending. And then I let him kill them because, again, like you said, my invulns don't really matter. And Vanguards, sure shit, aren't picking up Nurglings.
Right. Well, that's my thing. Is I'm debating on what this is, again, saying that the terrain's large enough for a Magnus High to change. You know what I mean? Where you can do more shenanigans.
Well, there only has to be one building in my deployment to hide the bird. I mean,
the bird's going to be hidden. It's the Magnus thing because.
We don't know. I don't know. I'd like to say
that's like really how the game's going to go because a Magnus turn 1 death with doing absolutely nothing is a lot of your output, so it's really difficult.
I mean, we both know that unless the deployment was something I could hide, and I would have to look at Juice and be like, 100%. If I don't go first, there's no way you can shoot Magnus, right? Yep, TJ, I'm tracking. The only thing I can shoot him with is the boats. Okay, fine, I'll leave them on the table. Other than that, any other scenario, I don't think I have a choice. As wildly and crazy as I am, I would immediately lose that game if I lost Magnus turn 1.
Yeah, it's such a loss.
It's a huge loss. So I would have to hope that.
Can the termites soak up enough? This is my other, like, I actually have notes for you on this. Do the termites soak up too much of your smites?
I don't think so, because I think they're just 10 wounds, so that's 20 on turn 1. And 20 is what I put out. If we kill all the drills, though, that's where I want to be. I want him to not be able to move those units. If we can kill the drills with the mortal wounds and then cast the spells that basically slow down the priests, not being able to charge anything on his turn 1 would be
a huge
bad.
Yeah,
that would be really bad for him. Plus, there are also some randoms in here. We don't know what the gifts are going to be. Right. Random gift might be +1 mortal wounds. It might be -1 to hit. I mean, we don't know yet. Yeah. It might be an additional spell. Magnus might get toughness 8, by the way. We don't know.
That's actually a huge deal, actually. But
I mean, that turns, a game that
it won't change the last cannons, but it'll change a lot of the smaller shots.
Oh, it would change the last cannons. He'd wound on. Oh no, I guess it wouldn't.
No, he's 3s, and then he'd go down to 2s with a +1.
Yeah, but it would change the auto cannon, and it would change the rest of the small arms fire. It would change the destroyers as well, if he could fire the destroyers at them. So these are all big deals. And then it really is going to come down to 3-up invul. It's going to come down to 1 turn. Turn 2 is what it's going to come down to.
I won't even type this in. I don't know why I'm typing when I can just talk. KO, they aren't using the new Forge World stuff for this tournament. Yeah. So they're using the old loadout for their drills. Otherwise,
which makes sense because, having a week to do rules would have been rough for a lot of people.
So, Jeremy feels pretty confident with his Dark Angels Inner Circle Mojo.
He does. He feels super confident. That's another matchup that's like, okay, these are melta guns. Like, do you roll well with melta guns, or do you whiff with melta guns?
Yeah, he's got the double eradicators. He brought all the eradicators.
Yeah,
and the scarier for I was just about to say the scarier for me for you is the ATVs, because of the fact that you either have to do 24 wounds or you don't do anything to them. You just don't
I
bother.
just pick up the character first.
Yeah, well, I was just about to say, because I'm gonna hide that dude like a motherfucker. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Uh,
we pick that guy up first,
yeah,
and
he
you can only res near the unit,
three
right? So
inches, 3 inches. He doesn't have the he doesn't have anything to, but I would just keep running back. I would put him in the tip of a building and then just keep moving people back to him. You know what I mean? Uh,
well, if they go out somewhere to go do something, I will send Magnus over there. I don't mind. Because his army, while has a lot of eradicators, does not have some fast melee that could really punch hard. So if he goes on a flank somewhere, goes on a mission to, take a corner or something like that, I mean, that's easy. Magnus will pick that unit up by himself. I mean, 8 attacks with extra hits, so he's probably getting 9 hits, probably 9 wounds. 8 wounds plus 1, make it 9. 8 wounds. You reroll 1, makes it 9 wounds. 9 wounds at -4. I just wiped the unit. That's 30. That's 27 wounds right there. That's the whole unit.
27. Yeah, I mean, he's gonna get a 6-up if he's near the apothecary.
Well, let's hope he's not, because if he's near that apothecary, I would probably.
You literally, the sucky part is statistically that amount of wounds, you leave one guy with 1 wound. So,
Yeah.
So then he just
I would have to butter him up first, because the way the wounds allocation works, it's 9 to a thing anyway. So, or sorry, they're 8 wounds each, right?
8 wounds each.
Right. So 8 wounds each doesn't matter anyway, because I'm only really doing.
I was just doing it's still kind of you overkill one.
Each time I do 3 wounds, I basically
but
lose.
It's also the math still is me rolling feel no pains for all of those anyway, so it kind of works itself out as far as if there's something still there.
Okay, that makes sense then. Yeah, so I mean, you should pick up that unit, but I would make sure I would probably butter up that unit first, or I would give him prescience on 5s and 6s. So now he definitely picks up that unit, because now he's getting
exploding.
12.
Yeah, the Death of the False Emperor's explosions is pretty big. Now he's running. It's weird because he's running two. He's got 2 command squads, and one's all lightning quads and one's all Thunderhammer storm shields.
Mm-hmm.
So
I saw that.
Do you care much about either as far as like which one? I mean, obviously your big characters care more about the 3 damage weapons as opposed to just the volume of attacks.
Yeah, I would probably get rid of the the thunder hammers first. Because the bird doesn't mind the lightning claws. Neither does the demon prince.
Well, the bird especially doesn't mind because he gets more chances to get wounds back the more feel no pains you give him. Every time he's making those, that guy is unbelievably irritating. If you get a good turn of feel no pains, all of a sudden you're like, what just happened? You prevented a wound and gained a wound? Fuck that. So
yeah. So I mean, again, I think that's another matchup where it's a coin toss. We really see. I have 3 coin toss matches this weekend, which is unfortunate. I don't like this list particularly. I think it's good. I don't like the randomness. I like playing a lot more.
Your TA actually means a big deal on this though, because all of those weapons are T8, are at strength 8.
Yeah. So we need Boona change for that one too, which is another random roll. Like there's a whole bunch of stuff. Like I feel like this is a coin toss match. I feel like Austin's is kind of a coin toss match. And then obviously Juice's is the last coin toss match. Hurdle's playing a very similar list as well, so that could be a rough sauce as well.
Which one?
Hurdle,
yeah.
Mark Hurdle,
yeah.
Running basically the same list as Juice. It's literally the same list. He changed like one thing. I think he's taking 3 boats instead of. He's taking 3 boats, but then he's only taking like 4 dogs.
He doesn't take. His biggest thing is that instead of he brought Dune Riders instead of drills.
Right.
He's got 3. Yeah. He's got 3 pre-squads.
Right. Sorry. Yes. So yeah, I mean that is the stuff that we need to. I need to see. That could be a tough matchup too. I think I'm a little better off there because the drills move a lot faster, and the boats.
They both don't do anything. No, I was saying with the Dune. The Dune Rider, just the their transports. Obviously don't hit like a drill does
Yeah, they
either.
also don't hit like a drill. Like you can put, you can put up demon prince into a transport and not be worried about the attacks back. You
Right.
can't you
You
can't put
yeah, you'll get picked up. Yeah. So, but the thing is that this one's actually better for you because there's less chickens. For one,
yes,
there's less chickens. There's more priests, but the priests are a lot easier for you to deal with.
yes,
Uh,
one less chicken, isn't it? I think he's taking 5, isn't he?
he took no, he just took 4.
Okay, so 3 laser cannons and 1 auto cannon. So one less, one less.
So that's I think this one's easier for you. He has more nonsense in the way though. He could just push all these Dune. I would push all the Dune Riders all up in your shit.
I mean, he's Styges. They're both Styges. Like he's going to get to push on turn 1 and
Yeah.
move his
I mean,
basically move his entire army twice.
I would literally put every Dune Rider in your face so that you have to smite these guys.
Although I do believe that as a matchup where Magnus does start on the table because I think he can survive that. That's 6 las cannons. 6 las cannons hitting and wounding. You should get roughly 4 wounds through. I should fail 2 of those. 2 is an average of 7 damage. He feeling those pains. One of them he takes 6 and then he heals like 4 or 5. He's not dying from that.
Yeah.
And if you want to put the boats into him too, your turn 1, unless I give you an Nurgling squad, you're not even getting a kill turn 1. So
yeah, I mean this is a lot different than the other one. It will suck up a lot of stuff. You know what I mean? You might actually end up punching a bunch of these Dune Riders.
I was just going to say that list would probably be a lot more aggressive. I'd probably try to have to clear things with Magnus and the Bird, kind of trying to smash in. Not that I think the Bird's really going to suffer any issues this weekend because, well, like you said, he's nigh unkillable until you go, until Magnus dies, you're not even going to be thinking about the Bird. You'll be like,
nope. He doesn't
first things first, Magnus dies first.
Yeah, he doesn't exist until Magnus goes away. But no, this is the thing that I think is really funny is because these lists are very similar, but I actually think your play style is crazily different versus Juice.
Yeah, I think Mark is a super aggressive one. I think Juice's is a passive. We wait to see what the walkers do. We deploy Nurglings differently. Like I think with Mark, I put like 4 Nurglings on one objective and 1 Nurgling on the right hand side, maybe 4 on the left hand side. Put 1 in the front and go. Yep, your priest can kill this 1 unit, and then I'm going to hold at least one of these objectives next turn. With Juice, I don't really want to give him a unit to just basically give him a free speed bump that far up. But I think with Mark, it's important that I hold the middle of the table and make sure they can't do it.
100%.
I also like to sacrifice a unit, that other unit of Nurglings I just said, and literally just put it in front of two of his transports and go, yep, your pregame move doesn't exist because you're just stuck now. Can't move. So
now, what do you feel about like Nox's list, the other Nox, after they have to battle each other for the only can be one Nox? He's running the White Scars army with the big units of intercessors.
They don't scare me. I saw his list. Now, I'm not saying he's not a good player. I'm not saying that I think he's bad or anything like that. I'm just saying that they don't scare me. White Scars with no way to kill Magnus is like a dream come true. Other than you going, well, I guess I'm going to get him in melee. Yep, you go right on ahead and you try to get him in melee. See what happens. Because I think you said this earlier. Magnus only fights where he wants to fight. You're not just going to find him somewhere in the middle of the battlefield and go, aha, I gotcha. Like, he's only going to do stuff. And the other issue with this list is, as cool as the list looks like, the main issue is who's blocking the mortal wounds? Yeah. Who's going to take those mortal wounds?
It's got to be just intercessors. I mean, they're just going to...
Right. We're just going to pick up 2 units of intercessors every turn. And then by turn 2, I'm going to, like I said, I'll go into melee. So turn 2, I'll have killed 4 10-mans, basically. That's the amount of mortal wounds I do. And then we're going to slam into another unit. Magnus just picks up that unit too because neg 4, 3 damage.
Now, I want to give you the spoiler list because this is the most knights I've seen in a tournament in a while. You have 3 knight lists here.
I know. They don't scare me. There is one list you haven't talked about that scares the fuck out of me.
Well, I just want to do this one because of the fact that it usually doesn't have the last one. God damn it, whose list is it? It's the one with two Crusaders. He's got some more. He's got a Warglaive. He's got two Crusaders. He's got the two tank commander and Basilisk and a Vulture and a Chimera.
I saw that list. It's good. I'm not saying it's not good. Magnus would.
I mean, if he high rolls you and kills Magnus with double knights,
the double Gatling knights, right?
Let me make sure again.
There are two Crusaders, I thought. Yep.
Two Crusaders. Well, I think two guys have that. Yes, he's got a rapid fire battle cannon and the Gatling cannon. So I mean,
numbers say he doesn't die on turn one, but I don't know that I'd take that risk. I'd probably just put him in reserve.
Yeah, I mean, he could just go crazy and just make
all. Yeah, he could just Super Saiyan me and just fucking lose Magnus. So I would just put him in reserve. That match becomes a lot more manageable after that.
He doesn't have a lot of stuff to take the board. I mean, it's knights. That's the biggest problem that knights have. Period, is that they have a very trouble.
He does have a move army, so that's definitely something he can utilize by basically putting stuff there. No, there are two spoiler armies that are here this weekend.
What is the other army that you're super afraid of?
It's two, and it's sisters.
I was just about to say the terror of everything. I think sisters are so gross, dude.
Sisters no good. We don't like sisters at all, especially units that just go. Everybody randomly has a Meltagun or a multi-melta. Now the bottom list is the one all the way at the bottom. I can take that list. That's not that crazy.
The triple retributors with cherubs with them, so you're just
that one is
of the multi-meltas.
I don't know what I do in that matchup. I think that
you also have seraphims that are going to drop in. They literally drop in and they're able to shoot their melted inferno pistols at you. Yes. And then also, they have a bunch of fucking attacks with the Repentia. He has a bunch of Celestian squads. Aren't that scary because their output for their girls is not my favorite. But he's still taking the board. He's still got multiple units of girls. He's going to run the Repentia into the Nurglings, and the Nurglings will get just disintegrated by them.
Yeah, they get annihilated. It's not even like.
And then he's got all of the multi-melta shots with obviously rerolls. And then he's got St. Catherine to.
It's not even the rerolls that scare me. There's just one thing that scare me the most about sisters.
The fact that they just go take 8 damage from each of the multi-meltas.
Like, hey man, I'm gonna wound you. I'm gonna wound you 9 times. Okay, well I passed 8 out of the 9. Oh, that's pretty good, dude. Cool. Take 8 damage. You do that 3 times, you're dead.
Yeah,
that's it.
I mean, it's just crazy because he's got St. Catherine, so he can actually miracle dice twice for any of those units if they're within the 6. Yeah. So basically, if he goes multi-meltas 2, go 3 or 16 damage right there. Yeah, I mean, you just choose your 2 6s because you can do 2 of them.
So that would hurt a lot. So we need to try to avoid that. So I think in that particular matchup, that's a matchup where we YOLO Magnus early in the game. Like, we just try to get the most value for him possible. We send him in, try to wipe out a unit of Repentia, try to mortal wound the other unit of not Repentia, sorry. The fuck? The hell are Retributors?
I'm going to team off the board, though. I'm just going to come in on turn 2. I'll let you have a turn 1 because I'm just going to disintegrate him on turn 2.
Yeah,
I'll probably go 1 and 1 is what I would do. I would keep 1 on board because he's got 3. You know what I'm saying? 1's going to be on board for sure. But it depends on whether I would 1 or 2 because I don't want you to be able to do that. So if I'm playing you with the Sisters Army right now, I'm basically looking and going, what can TJ do to win against me right now? Killing the Retributors, you know what I mean? So I would hold at least one of them are off. Oh, dude, CKR Sisters are terrifying. Just terrifying. The 12-inch charges, characters coming back, just they have if you are really good with Sisters, I think Sisters has a very high skill cap, but I think it's also the most terrifying army if you know your army very, very, very well.
Yeah.
But so
They're definitely someone I'm scared of. I have a couple of ideas against them because my buddy plays sisters, so I kind of understand what I need to do against that matchup. There's some very important things there. We need to go. It's same thing with Juice, though, right? Like, this isn't just a fuck. I don't know what I do against this list. If I play this list, I don't know what Juice does to this list. Triple Repentia that just come, not Repentia, Retributor that just come off the table edge and go, is that a vehicle? Nah, it was a vehicle. It's now dead. Or is that a unit of Electro Priest with a 3-up invul? Take 60 attacks.
that's the thing. That's the thing about why sisters for me are the scariest army is because they have so many units that trade up so well that cost
Yeah.
shit.
Yeah, I mean they'll wipe a unit of priests, no problem. Even if you have your 3-up invul, they don't care. They literally don't care. The sheer weight of dice that they will get on there will kill that unit.
Yeah, it's just fucking crazy, and they have just mad strats. It's just they have so much shit that they can do. He's got the Magifier and the Preacher, which means that they're going to get the pluses and the rerolls for hits and wounds on that. So they're coming in, they're hitting hard.
Plus, his long range trades better than your long range. So, like, Exorcist trade better than if he goes first with the Exorcist, he basically should kill at least 2 of those chicken walkers. Now you lost a las cannon and your auto cannon because you're obviously
with this list. The funny thing is that I'm looking at the Shane's list. He's got no Exorcist, but he's got all the Retributors. It doesn't matter because he pushes up, and you disintegrate some stuff in the middle, and then he just shows up on your sideboard edges and kill all of your chickens and a couple of the tanks, and still has more shit left. And it also, if that's how the game went, that means that you're in the back somewhere. You know what I mean? And
right.
Even if you've killed a bunch of his army, you're not taking any objectives. You're not scoring secondaries. You're just behind.
He can also kill. He can really mess around with your OPSEC. What's your OPSEC? Cool. My Celestines, which are normally hot, stinking garbage, they pick up a 5-man unit of your toughness 3 models, no problem.
Yeah, exactly. He's is
an extremely skilled player. He knows exactly what he's doing. So that would be a tough match. I honestly, and you got Seraphims who come in. He automatically gets Scramblers. There's no way you get, so he's automatically scoring 10 on Scramblers, and he's probably a lock for scoring.
He's gonna have
Banners. I would say Banners. He does very, very well with this list. And last but not least, if he was playing like Juice's list, he would take Bring It Down.
Yeah.
Bring It Down. You'd probably max that out. I mean, there's enough. I think I counted 16.
Oh,
16
the chickens alone freaking give you Bring It Down almost.
Yeah, so he'll max that out, and he'll max Scramblers out. Not that he even needs to kill the chicken walkers in this matchup. That's the beauty of the list, right? He doesn't care about 8 las cannons a turn. That doesn't matter. He has nothing that even cares about that. He's going to drop in on your backfield and pick up both of your tanks that are your long range fire. Now you need line of sight, or he's going to pick up your Cataphrons destroyers with 1 unit, and then another unit is going to pick up a tank. I mean, like, the versatility with the list is extremely strong. Or he's going to bring the Seraphim in. They're going to melt a gun the Cataphrons, and then they're going to make a 12-inch charge and charge one of the vehicles. Then the other Retributor squad is going to wipe out another vehicle. Now all of a sudden I have your backfield, and I have your back objective. And the rest of your army is on the other side of the map. And as quickly as they move to start, AdMech is not a fast army once they are deployed and they have moved on their first turn. So they cannot bow face really quickly. None of their units are that fast. So that's a big deal. So I'll be very interested to see what this list in particular does. That's my boogeyman. That's the list I don't want to play. Juice I know is a coin flip. This, I would have to play one of the best games of 40K I've played.
He would need to make mistakes. This is a bad match for you. But I think Sisters is a bad match. It's played well. Sisters are a bad match for everybody right now, unless it's like a wide open board or something. You know what I mean? Where you can jump all over.
I think my old list would have done infinitely better against the Sister list.
Yes, no, but he's got so much stuff. He can actually just play around from you and just stand. If I was playing the Sisters against your old list and we were playing for the 5 or 6 objectives, I would do what we were talking about, which is just I would stay everywhere and just ping you from a distance and just take more objectives than you and score all my secondaries. and just be boring as shit.
Yeah, but I'm saying like I think it's a better matchup because the Plague Burst Crawlers don't die from Multi-Meltas. That's not something they do. Not with a 4-up invul, especially when you're wounding them on 4s. That's just not, and they're healing every turn. That's not something you're doing.
It's true. It's so funny because every time I think multi-meltas, I always think my salamander multi-meltas. I'm like, what are you talking about, man? I'm wounding you on 3 all the time. And you're like, no, you're not. Not everybody's +1.
Yeah, not everybody's +1. Not to mention, not to mention, my old list had the tally. So like this army has a ton of small units, but as soon as the Nurglings get to be toughness 3, or the tanks become toughness 9,
yeah, that is a big deal.
That's
the against this army. Weird, man. Do you just go for maximum kills, or are you trying to do targeted strikes? Do you want to take out the Preacher and the Imagifier? I mean,
I need to take out the multi-melt.
Well, yeah, but the problem is that one of them's hiding, one of them's off board, and the other one's a coin flip, whether it's on the board or off the board. So
if they're none are off the board, if they're all off the board and one is hiding, we take whatever's first. And what I would try to do is I would try to turtle my Magnus after he jumps. I would try to jump in the edge of my table, and then I would probably try to screen Nurglings on that side. So I can basically say to him, Magnus is, your guys are going to come in, and there's nothing you can do about it, and you won't be able to shoot Magnus. That's what we'll try to do. That's what I would try to do. So turn 1, you play aggressive. You go out, you cast all your spells, you jump backwards, and then he can't bring anybody in on his turn 1, unless he brings it on his board edge, which that's not going to work. So, and then on turn 2, we try to do what we used to do, which is basically try to screen out for the multi-meltas as best we can. If you can only get 1 unit in, that's a win for me because I don't think he picks them up with 1 unit. And the same thing with all the other jumps. So on turn 2, basically, I would try to, the thing about his list is he has no indirect. So that's probably my one saving grace in this list is he has no indirect, and whatever he puts on the table is going to die from smites before he gets a chance to use it. Because if I win the roll to go first, I will take the first turn and smite.
For you, sure, you have to.
Now, yep. So I take whatever I can smite, and then on turn 2, he's going to have to move. He's going to have to start making moves for objectives because his whole army's not coming in from reserves and starting to play the game on turn 2. So I kill whatever else moves out of there, and then, like I said, I try to hold Magnus back for 1 turn. I can at least avoid the Repentia from charging him, and I can avoid probably the jump pack girls from shooting him because it's only a 12-inch pistol range. I could probably avoid those 2 things by going in the middle of the table and screening out on the left and right-hand flanks. And then we have to hope that he only gets 1 unit of multi-meltas in. They don't kill him, or even 2 units shouldn't kill him. And then, if he lives, we go and kill the multi-meltas. And then we'll probably go and kill the Repentia after that. Try to take out the Repentia, and then... and I think that's that.
I'm sorry. Let me talk about this Custodes, and then I'm going to
vacate.
I'm going to vacate. I'm going to see why my wife came in and took my glass of wine from yesterday and went, I've had such a bad day, I'm willing to drink this old ass cup of wine. I'm like, okay.
Wow, that's rough.
KR, I want to do real quick. I just want to run this list down real quick because KR just asked about it. There's 1 Custodes there. He's bringing a Vindicare Assassin, Shield Captain.
What a weird list.
Yeah, he's got the 2 fast attack, the Palace Gravatax, 2 Ocladius tanks, and then he's got the Shadowkeep, a 2nd detachment. Then he took Trajan, 2 of the Contemptor Dreadnoughts, 1 Vexillus Praetor. He actually has a 3rd. Why did he put this in the 2nd thing? Whatever. He's got 3 Caladius tanks. And then he took a 3rd detachment. Nope, he just looks really weird how he put it. Sorry, 2 detachments.
He has reinforcement points for Sisters of Silence, but he didn't take them. So yeah. I think he was thinking that he was going to play them, and he's not.
Yeah, and then it just looks strange how he's got it, yeah. But that's what he's bringing.
Yeah, you're going to kill Magnus with that. You definitely kill Magnus with that. My worry for him would be, how are you holding objectives? Because,
he has nothing. You could need 2 models against him. You just walk up and go, okay, well, this is mine.
I mean, the prosecutors can jump in and they can do stuff. Oh, the prosecutors, that's his Sisters of Silence. He has 2 units of prosecutors.
Yeah, but
So
he's just not
but they're not
holding.
they're not troops, they're elites. So
And
he was
they're
literally no OPSEC
yeah,
except for
yeah. He doesn't have any guys walking. He just has too much. He's got too
Trajan.
much tank stuff. So
He has 1 3-man unit of guys who can hold it, and then a shield captain. He has 3 units that can even hold an objective. So, with all that knowledge, I'm basically going to front load 1 objective with one of the middle objectives with like 4 units of Nurglings, and then I'm going to leave Magnus on the table because whatever. Yeah, maybe we'll see what we'll see finally what the terrain looks like tomorrow. Well, he probably goes off the table. He probably doesn't start on the table in this matchup. And then the bird stays back, and then the pink horrors will just run up. They're going to be the MVPs in this game because I think that he's going to have no answer to them. Because if you're shooting at Magnus, you're certainly not shooting at them. And if you're shooting at the bird, you're certainly not shooting at them. So I feel pretty confident. Not like, oh man, this is like a crushing loss, but I feel like if Magnus comes in on turn 2, picks up Trajan, and then he shoots his entire army at Magnus and then kills him, and then the bird goes over and kills the 3-man infantry squad he has. I think I just stand in the middle of the table with 2 pink horrors holding the middle objective in the left hand or the right hand side, and we just score 15 points. And by the time he knows what's up, we've got our 45 points in primary.
yeah,
And he's
I think that this guy's list is very not friendly.
It's a table list.
Yeah,
it's a tabling list.
Yeah, it's just it's looking too much. You just can't play that way though because of the fact that it's not always going to happen. You're just gonna you need to be able to score. It's night
and like
edition,
KR said, I think he's going to use the sisters for scramblers. So I don't even think he's going to be using them to even try to grab it. I think he's just going to try to scramble.
Yeah, it's so easy to stop them from taking those though. You put again, he's got a big vehicle. You just put 2 models and go no. That's great. Yeah, 100% KR. That's an eighth edition list. For sure.
There's another AdMech, by the way. That's the Dark Mechanicum list, which is literally just like, I took all the shooting. Cool.
Yeah, there's it's so crazy because you just don't see a lot of them. There's 3 AdMechs. There's 3 AdMechs, 2 sisters, in this tournament. There's some nasty lists, man. Nasty lists, some pretty good players, man. I wish you good luck, brother.
Thanks, man. And then we'll play next week, and I can regale you all my tales.
I do. I want to talk about that. So, fellas, I know I didn't advertise this at all. I just basically, TJ and I were going to talk about this tournament. We just want to talk. And then I was like, you know what? Why are we not just broadcasting this? This is what I do. So I was like, fuck it. I'll just record this and make it awesome.
Tomorrow, we'll hang out again.
I was just about to say, and then we'll do it again. So, all right, gentlemen, thanks for hanging out at kind of a last minute, but good luck to you. And thanks, everybody, for just hanging out.